Hey guys, so this week I'm going to take you to my 50-mile ultra marathon race out on Antelope Island State Park. It's out in the Great Salt Lake, that huge body of inland salt water left over from the ancient Lake Bonneville here in Utah. It's right along the Wasatch Front, north of Salt Lake. Salt Lake City's down that way. These are the Wasatch Mountains. I live straight north of here, about 3 or 4 hours in Wyoming up there in Star Valley. And my race is tomorrow, and it's a bunch of loops out on Antelope Island. It's an old ranching island, and now it's a state park. There's buffalo herds out there and huge mule deer herds and antelope. So it should be a cool race. I'm going in here to pick up my race packet. They give you a bag with some different goodies and stuff in there, and then you get a number to put on you so they can keep track of you. And I don't think this race has a timing chip. I think they just time it by hand, and a few other things. And then I'll drive out to the state park and show you some places out there and show you some of the buffalo. And I'm going to camp in my truck tonight and wake up early in the morning and run 50 miles tomorrow. So see how it goes. It's supposed to be decent weather. It was raining up till today, and it's supposed to rain and snow Sunday. So I think the race is right in between two storms. So it was going to be pretty nasty, but then the forecast changed. So might be muddy out there, but it'll be a fun day, I guess. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so I went into the place and grabbed my stuff, and they gave us this race bib. They call them race bibs. They're just numbers. So they'll use 2006 to keep track of me as I come. Every 5 miles there's an aid station where they have food and drink, and you have to check in and say I'm here, so they can kind of keep track of you moving through the course. So you don't, in case somebody gets lost or hurt or whatever. You use these to pin it onto your leg or your shirt. Then they gave us a t-shirt. Most races give you some kind of shirt. And then this bag full of junk. It's usually like coupons and stuff, but let's see what's in there. Sometimes there's other things like little food items. Yeah, most of this is just coupons and crap. There's some kind of drink mix. Grapefruit effervescent tablets. I tried these once. I maybe want to throw up, so I don't know who eats these. I have a whole bunch of these from different races I've done. BioFreeze. I guess you rub this on sore muscles and it supposedly helps you out. Who knows? Another grapefruit thing. So kind of a waste. Not a lot in there. Sometimes there's a candy bar or something like that, something cool, or a good coupon for a store, but not much. So anyway, so I think I'm gonna hit the market and grab a few little things for my dinner tonight, and then I'm gonna head out to the island and I'll show you some cool places out there. So I'm out here at Antelope Island. The Great Salt Lake is back up against those mountains, and then all the way out up north is just this huge body of shallow salt water. And there's the Wasatch Mountains. If you follow those mountains all the way north, a couple hours, Evanston, Wyoming is right up that way over the mountains, about an hour and a half. And Salt Lake City is down there against the mountains. There's a buffalo they have outside the park, but I'm at the entrance to the park. And we take a causeway. It goes over a part of the Great Salt Lake, kind of a bridge type thing, and then that's the island. That's the northern end of the island, and then it slopes up and there's mountains in the middle, and then it tapers off to the back edge. There's some guys out there shooting. There's a bunch of ranch land and farmland around here. But here's a few. Again, on these, just press pause and then read it, and then you can press play again. I won't stay on them very long, but this tells you about the Great Salt Lake, how big it used to be. If I'm not holding long enough, just press pause and read them yourself. Same thing on this one. There's a bunch of birds out here that use it as migration nesting areas, and then some live here year-round. A bunch of different types of birds. So this is the causeway that we will drive out on. There's some pictures. So my race goes up to the northern end about 20 miles in a loop, and then it goes all the way out to the southern end on an out and back that's about 25 miles total. And there's a 5-mile little loop around a point on the island, and then that's 50 total. So you actually you start, go on a loop, come near the start finish, and then go on another out and back, come near the start finish, and then go on a loop, and then you finish. So it's kind of nice. You get to start and finish in the same spot, and I'll camp right out there, and I'll show you all that when I get out there. Hopefully some buffalo. Here we are, pulling up to the main gate. Bison may be dangerous. So we gotta watch out for the buffalo. Last year I had to run about 25 yards close to a herd. It was kind of spooky because there were no trees or boulders or anything. So here we go. So I drove out on this causeway, and I'm kind of out in the middle of it cuts right through here. So this is the eastern side of the part of the Great Salt Lake, and then there's the island out there, and the causeway connects to it. And then this is looking east, or west, sorry, towards the western side of the lake, and then it goes north. As far as the eye can see, there's salt water. And there it actually disappears into the horizon. You can kind of see the mountains and shoreline on the other side on certain parts, but then there's some of it, it's so big that it disappears into the horizon just like the ocean would. The Great Salt Lake. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast here. I'll go slower. Again, Wyoming is that way to the north. And on the other side of the lake over there is Nevada, the Nevada border. So it's a pretty cool place to come visit. But I'll be running all over that island tomorrow for about 8 hours. Go see if we can find some buffalo. So there's people that started at noon doing a 100-mile run. They're doing my same race, but they start now and they do 50 miles and then they go back and do it again. And they have like, I think 30 to 34 hours or something like that to finish. And this is an aid station at the 22-mile mark. So there's people coming in and they have food, and you can see runners coming in and out.
Have fun. Thank you guys. You're the best. No, you're the best.
Smiles, smiles.
Oh, we'll get that.
All right, I'm on her.
So I camped over this ridge and run through those mountains in the morning for 20 miles and then come back up and over, and this is about 23, 24 out to the south end of the island, then back, up and over, do a little loop over there, and then finish. But these are the 100-milers coming in. They started 5 hours ago, so they're taking their time and going slow and easy, and because they got a long way to go. They'll go all the way through the night. So the 100-milers will run all the way through the night in the dark, and that'd be kind of cool too, but also kind of spooky with the buffalo out there. You kind of got to be careful with them. So I showed you some of the food they have at the aid stations. A lot of it's cookies and candies, some fruit. They have those gel packets that have about 100 calories in them, and they're different flavors, and you just squirt them in your mouth and swallow them. And then they have sodas. So on these ultra marathons, your body just craves calories, and a lot of that's easy to get in your body and used right away because you're running and hiking and walking up for long hours, is sugars, so candies. So it's kind of fun doing ultra marathons because you can eat candy and drink soda, and your body wants it right away and uses it because you're working so hard. So it's kind of fun, a nice little treat every so often. But then a lot of people just eat regular granola bars and stuff like that. On these 100 miles, they'll stop and eat some soup or sandwich or something like that at different points. But on my 50 mile, my stomach doesn't like that, and so I'll just eat gels and maybe a little bit of soda here and there, but mostly water and stuff. So hopefully this isn't too boring, but I'll be camping over there, running through those mountains for 20 miles, going back over, going all the way out and back 25 miles. And then I come over here, and down there is a little campground area. And that's about mile 46. So I'll come over that ridge and drop down there, and then I have to run 4 miles around the end of that point, and then back over to the finished start area over that little rise there at the base of those mountains. It's really pretty out here. It's nice and quiet, peaceful. You can hear birds everywhere. Feels like spring, just when you hear all the birds coming back and everything like that. That's the way it feels out here. Just so many birds everywhere. There's huge mule deer on this island, like really big mule deer, and then antelope and buffalo. So I'll drive out to the south end and show you the ranch. It used to be ranchers that settled out here, 2 or 3 families or maybe more. They used to ranch cattle out here and farm. And then the state of Utah bought it up and turned it into a state park. So. There's a visitor center right up here, and I was going to take you to it, but it closed like 5 minutes ago, so we won't get to see it. So there's the first buffalo, and you can see how close the runners have to go sometimes. There's a runner right there. He's probably 50 yards. Maybe 70 yards away from him. But there's you can see at least right through here, there's no trees and rocks, so if they start just charging you, there's nothing you can do. Here come a couple more runners. But those buffalo are just right there, just hanging out. They're pretty used to people, so they usually don't bother them, but sometimes the herd will be on the trail, like a bigger herd than this, or 1 or 2 will be right on the trail, and so you have to kind of go up and around them or stuff like that. So that one's staring right at him and took a couple steps towards him, and the lady's looking right at it, kind of nervous. I think it's a lady. But it makes you really nervous going by them because there's nothing to protect you. If they just decide to start running at you, there's not much you can do unless you can make it down to the water or something. I don't know. So this is on that long stretch that goes along the west side of the island here out to the south end. It's a big long out and back, about 25 miles. You can see runners way out there. There's one. You can see them right off my finger there moving out on the trail. It's just a little trail out there that winds all the way back. It's really pretty. It was down in there somewhere that there were a bunch of buffalo last year. It's kind of made me nervous. There's another guy right there. You can see him right there, just moving along. It's a beautiful place for an adventurous run. You'll notice that in the 100 miles especially, a lot of people they'll hike and they'll walk and run and hike and walk and run just to conserve their energy. Most people, unless you're a really elite, great runner and usually pretty young, they can't run the full 100 miles. And even if they are running most of it, they're going a lot slower than they normally would. So otherwise you can't endure that long. Even during my 50 mile last year, from about mile 33 to mile 50, I did a lot of walking because my body just started to hurt really bad. My legs were hurting, but I was running and walking and running and walking those last 17 miles. My goal this year is to try and run the whole 50, so we'll see how it goes. There's some more buffalo. There's no like flowing water, rivers or anything on the island. I think there's some natural springs, and then you can see cattle tanks out around, so they have something to drink. So that's how they keep them watered, and they can just roam the island. It's just a state park for them to be free to do what they want to do. So. So this is the Fielding Gar Ranch. It's been here for 133 years. Out across the Great Salt Lake there is the Salt Lake City. When I did that Mountain Rufa run, it was up one of those peaks back there in the mountains. But this ranch has been here for quite a while, and I think it's still operational. I know they do tours and stuff, but I see some kind of farming going on out here, but there's some buffalo out there too. There's one pretty close. But this is on the long out and back to the south end of the island. This is the turnaround at mile 33 for me, and then I'll go back. So like I said, there's 100-mile runners coming in and out. There's a bunch of buffalo out there. You see them? Some guys came in to ride around the island on horseback. There's a decent-sized herd of buffalo out there, scattered around. And this guy's walking right towards the ranch. He keeps coming closer and closer where all the people are. So let's go see what this sign says. Almost evening. I'm gonna head back and get my camp set up at the start finish. So just some signs asking you to treat the island with care because it's a delicate environment. Oh yeah, I forgot there's bighorn sheep here too. This is just about a trail, nothing interesting. I think you have to get permits and stuff, not sure, to ride horseback and do other things. Okay, well, I think I'll film next at the start finish, or maybe a couple points along the way back. getting windy out on the Great Salt Lake. It can get really bad out there as far as waves go. Here's a couple of buffalo right here off the side of the road. This is the last 5-mile loop around this thing, and it looks like there's a whole herd scattered out through here, and you have to run right down through the middle of it. So we'll see if they are there in the morning, or let's see, I'll probably come through here hopefully about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see if I have to run through this herd or not. All right, I am at camp and the start finish. So you just pull in here, and that's the finish line, but it's also the start line. In the morning we'll go out and we'll climb up that ridge. There's a buffalo herd up there too. You can see the little specks up there. And we'll go out and kind of weave through those mountains and then come back, and that'll be 20 miles. And then we go up and over this rise and out all the way to that ranch I showed you, and then back, and that's about 25. And then we come along this ridge line and drop off on the other side and go around that point. And we come in here, and that's 50 miles. So, there's camping down below here. You can't see it, but with little picnic areas and fire pits and stuff like that. People can come and camp with campers or however they want, but I'm gonna camp in the back of my truck here. Threw a mattress in there, and I'll put a sleeping bag in there and just kind of get in there and camp for the night. Get up early in the morning, cook myself breakfast, and then head on out. At 6 a.m. this race starts, so next time I film might be then. Oh, I have to go turn in a can of vegetables. They make stew in a huge pot for, as you finish, they feed you stew, and part of their requirements are to bring a can of vegetables to pitch in. So, kind of fun. Hey guys, I don't know if you can see me or not. There's a little bit of light. It's about 5:45 in the morning. We're getting ready to run here. It's a clear sky with a lot of stars out, and it's been windy all night, so it might be kind of windy, but it's a warm wind, so that's good. So I think I'm gonna leave my camera here and not film while I run, just because then I'd have to carry this camera somewhere on me, and I don't know if I want to deal with that. So next time I film, I hopefully will be at the finish line. See you guys. Well guys, I finished 20 minutes faster than last year, but it was brutal. We went out and we started down here at the start at 6 in the morning in the dark, went up with flashlights all the way out, came back around about 20 miles, was feeling good, and then over at mile 22 I just started getting really sick and nauseous, and threw up twice, and I couldn't eat or drink anything from 22 to 33, so 11 miles, and I was gonna quit at mile 33, where you turn around and run 17 miles all the way back and just see if somebody could give me a ride back. But they had some warm quesadillas there and some cold Coke, so I just grabbed those and walked for a mile, eating and drinking, and my body just came back to life, and I ran 16 miles as hard as I could all the way back to try and beat last year's time. So, and I did it. So I am physically exhausted. Now I get to drive home 4 hours back to Wyoming. So it was a beautiful day. I wished I'd brought my camera with me so many times. The sunrise out over the Great Salt Lake was just beautiful, out over the waters. From out on Elephant Head Point, oh, it was just stunning out there. But if you ever get a chance to come to Antelope Island and visit and see all the buffalo, I had to run past buffalo twice. Once I was about 50 yards away, and the other time I was about 20 yards away. and the 20 yards away he's facing me, and it was just kind of scary. And by then I was so tired I would have just laid down on the ground and let him trample me or whatever he was going to do, because I couldn't have done anything about it. So anyway, thanks for coming on this field trip. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. See ya.